Now at 10, a local organization teaches refugees how to drive using a driving simulator. Plus, athletes from around the 4 states kick off the new year with a running collective event. And we meet a Springfield woman who celebrated a big milestone this week, her 107th birthday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police say a man is in the hospital after being shot multiple times in the Bar District. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Elise Noe. It happened just after midnight last night near the intersection of 6th and Joplin Avenue. Authorities say the 25-year-old victim was rushed to the hospital. At a last check, he was in critical but stable condition. Police are still trying to identify a suspect. Chloe Arroyo joins us with a first look at weather.
Thank you, Elise. We've seen temperatures in the 30s this afternoon. We really didn't reach much into the 40s, and we're going to dip down into that freezing range heading into tonight. Right now, upper 30s, mid 30s for some. Nevada 35, Lamar and Carthage, you're at 36. Iola 36 as well. Parsons, you're at 37 degrees right now. Now let's cut to the chase. How much snowfall could we see on Monday and Tuesday? Could see anywhere from a dusting up to an inch for some regions a little further south, and then up north. This is what we're tracking, a lot more snowfall. So I'll have more details on that here in a bit in terms of the timeline and when we'll see the rain transitioning into snow on Monday into Tuesday, plus even more snow on Friday. And we could see some single-digit temperatures coming up here in a bit. I'll have the whole rundown.
Thanks, Chloe. Well, those colder temperatures can be a perfect time to take on a new hobby or learn a new craft. Kathy Wagner of Hooks and Loops Primitive Rug Hooking taught beginners in Kansas the essentials of rug hooking today at the Crawford County Historical Museum. The class included basic binding techniques, how to pull loops, and a little history on the primitive rugs.
There's a traditional, which is real shaded flowers, leaves, maybe an oriental type looking rug, and those where they use a lot of different shades of the same color and very small strips. These strips are wider, and just the chunky colors makes up the primitive patterns.
Today's class was $65 per person, with some of the proceeds going toward a donation to the Crawford County Historical Museum. From the horse and buggy days to working on the space shuttle, Anna Eisenhart has seen it all. This week, the Springfield woman celebrated her 107th birthday. And as you're about to find out, she's still going strong. Joe Hickman visited her on this special day.
You're never too old to dance. Just asked 107-year-old Anna Eisenhart. She was dancing to the live music of Isaac Kenneth this week at the Southbound Bar and Grill.
It was fun.
Anna is still sharp as a tack, 42 years past her retirement age, with a long parade of well-wishers today for a woman who was born on January 5th, 1917, on a farm in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, with no modern conveniences.
There were no stores there. My mother made us dresses out of flour sacks.
There was no running water in the house.
I had her walk down the street to the spring and dip my bucket in the water and carry it home.
And the bathrooms were outhouses.
Ours was one of the nicest ones because my mother wallpapered the inside of the toilet.
Anna said she'll never forget the day when she saw strange-looking lines going up along her street.
My mother said that we're going to have electric lights and we're going to get running water and the inside bathroom. And I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
When that car was built in 1930, Mom was already 15 years old.
And technology would change even more, as after getting married, having 3 children, and moving to California, Anna became an electrical engineer for NASA, making umbilical cords that tethered astronauts during spacewalks and wiring the nose cones on the first 5 space shuttles. During her time with NASA, President Ronald Reagan came to visit and got a swift rebuke from Anna when he tried to touch equipment in the sterilized environment.
I had to yell at him. I said, "Don't touch that. You contaminated my wires." He just backed up and threw his hands up in the air. He said, "So sorry."
And liftoff.
Anna's worst day on the job came on January 28, 1986, when the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into its flight.
We didn't want them to fly that day because we had a feeling that when everything is iced up, that's not a good thing. And it was just horrible to see that.
Out in California, Anna also met First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt as they shared the same doctor. And Anna also lived near Johnny Cash before he became famous.
Oh gosh, he was a pest.
As for her longevity, Anna says it's not about what you eat.
I eat everything in the house.
She likes margaritas.
And ice cream.
If I like it, I eat it. If I don't like it, I spit it out.
It's instead more about your attitude, as even in the winter of your years, learning to smell the flowers along the way is important.
Don't think of bad things. And don't think you're more than somebody else, because you're not.
And while she's in good health, just like the rest of us, she does have her senior moments.
I lived alone, and the sugar bowl disappeared from the cupboard. And I swore that somebody stole it. And one day I was cleaning the refrigerator out, and lo and behold, in the freezer was the sugar bowl. I had to sit down and say, how in the hell did I do that?
People need to know they should take care of themselves, because this could be the possibility. And if you're going to be 107, you want to do it that way. That little lady is doing dancing and everything else still, and that's the way to be.
Well, some four-staters today were able to kick off the new year on the right foot with the community run. Attendees were able to run or walk the 2 and 3 mile courses. The running collective hosts 2 runs every Wednesday and 1 Saturday run once a month. Officials say it's a great way to get in a workout while hanging out with friends.
It connects people, so you can be any different pace, and it's a lot of sports are against other people, but running is a sport against yourself, and so there is competitiveness in it, but it's a lot of good community.
The run was open to all ages, abilities, and furry friends. A Joplin organization is offering legal immigrants and refugees in the area the opportunity to learn how to drive in a simulator. For this program, the Refugee and Immigrant Services in Education RAISE was supported by the Joplin Interfaith Coalition. The money put towards the purchase of the equipment comes from the coalition's annual bake sale, almost $10,000. According to RAISE, knowing how to drive is essential in the area. The community is encouraged to get involved supporting these immigrants in their transportation needs.
Teaching somebody how to drive, taking them to the grocery store, transporting them to appointments. And, we also need a lot of donations. When these families come, we need to furnish their homes. We need help to set up the houses.
RAISE is an official resettlement site through Lutheran Immigrant and Refugee Services. To learn other ways the nonprofit supports immigrants and refugees, go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, it's been 3 years since the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. We'll see how it's still impacting the race for the White House. Plus, CDC data shows COVID-19 cases are rising following the holiday season. We'll take a look. It's now been 3 years since a mob rushed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. President Biden, in his first campaign speech of the year, directly criticized former President Trump for his actions on that day. Trump is the leading GOP candidate, and this year we could see a rematch of the 2020 election, even as the former president faces legal and political challenges related to January 6th. CBS's Christian Benavides reports.
For Capitol Police Officer Thomas Lloyd, images of January 6, 2021 still haunt him.
By the end of the day, it was tens of thousands against hundreds of officers.
A sea of rioters stormed the Capitol. Some beat police, calling them traitors. Some chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." In the House chamber, a group of House members were trapped.
They came 10 seconds from getting to us.
A single shot fired by police struck Ashley Babbitt, stopping the surge. Over the course of 3 years, the Justice Department has arrested nearly 1,200 people, securing guilty pleas from more than half. On Saturday, a small gathering outside the Justice Department took place in support of the defendants. This week, President Biden gave a speech meant to remind Americans of Trump's involvement.
It was among the worst derelictions of duty by a president in American history.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
With Trump running to return to the White House, he continues to falsely say there was election fraud, a claim echoed by the rioters, promising to pardon them.
Look at what's happened with the J6 hostages. The hostages, that's a horrible thing.
A new CBS News poll shows while only 30% of Republicans approve of the actions of those who forced their way into the Capitol, most say they support pardons. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
Officials say they are still seeking about 80 defendants who remain fugitives, and today the FBI arrested 3 of those fugitives in Florida on charges related to January 6th. Student loan payments resumed in October, but some borrowers are still receiving inaccurate billing statements. That's according to a new report from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In response, the Biden administration is punishing 3 of its 4 services. It's withholding more than $2 million from Aidvantage, Ed Financial, and Nelnet, saying the companies failed to meet their contractual obligations. The Supreme Court is set to consider its second major abortion-related case of the year. Yesterday, the High Court has said it will decide if emergency room doctors can do medically necessary abortions in states where they are prohibited. This stems from a lawsuit from the United States versus Idaho. The state's namesake Defense of Life Act bans the termination of most pregnancies with exception to prevent the death of the mother. New data shows that respiratory viruses didn't take a break for the holidays. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, COVID-19 and flu activity is increasing in most of the country. In fact, the CDC says flu-like activity is high or very high in all but a dozen states. Hospitalizations for COVID-19 and the flu both surged last week when compared to the week before. The agency says JN1 variant now accounts for most of new COVID infections. A little later, rivals Missouri Southern and Pitt State go head-to-head. Brock Baldridge will have the highlights in sports.
Plus, we're tracking not 1, but 2 snow events coming up in the next week. I'll have all the details coming up next. Well, this weekend we have a little bit of a break. We'll call it the calm before the storm, both figuratively and literally heading into the rest of the week. We'll see some snow heading into Monday and Tuesday. Here's a look at your Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just west of Seneca, Missouri. And I do not want to be out in that parking lot without layers and layers of clothes going on. Current temperatures in the 30s. We're just a hair above freezing right now, but it's still quite chilly out there. Joplin 37, Neosho 36, Monette, you're at 34, Iola, you're at 37, while Yates Center at 36 degrees. We're all going to get into the freezing range, if not below freezing, heading into tonight. Only warm up into the 40s before we see this next system heading into Monday. We'll start out with rainfall. Monday, this is around 11 o'clock or noon, we'll start to see that rain push through. Notice the line between rainfall and snow. It's a little further up north than what we saw yesterday. The new models are showing a trend a little further north, a good 50 to 75 miles north to be specific, and then as it pushes further to the west, Tuesday morning, we'll start to see a little bit more of that snowfall into the picture. Are we still going to get accumulation? Yes, even though we'll see a little bit more of that rainfall. It's not as crazy as we saw yesterday, but still something to look out for. Tuesday, 11:30 a.m., and that'll push out through the afternoon and evening hours. Here's a look at our snowfall potential. Because that line between rain and snow pushed a little further north, so have our estimates up to an inch in northeastern Oklahoma, in northwestern Arkansas, going a little further north, our further northern counties. They could see the most snowfall, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches. A little further north around the Kansas City area, you guys can see anywhere from 6 to 10 inches. That's what we're really projecting right now. As the models come in heading into tomorrow, that could shift just a little bit, but that's a good idea of what we could see right now. Cold blast though, heading into next week. This is next weekend, a week from today actually. We'll see those temperatures really drop down, and that's when we're going to start to see, unfortunately, temperatures nearing the single-digit mark. And that's what we're going to see for Friday, which will be really suitable for our second system. So let's take a look at that. Notice the line between rainfall and snow is a little further south. That's because of those temperatures. They're going to be well below freezing at that point. So the chances of seeing more snowfall accumulation, a little more likely at this point. We'll see that snowfall push through Friday afternoon into the evening. That's going to continue into early Saturday morning. So that's what we're tracking right now. Here's a recap. Tuesday, could see some road impacts, not as many snow days likely as Friday. We're going to elevate that just a little bit. Chances of getting a snow day on that, pretty likely. So make sure you're planning accordingly heading into not only Monday and Tuesday, but especially Friday and Saturday as well. Here's a look at your very busy weekday forecast. We've got Monday and Tuesday, a possible alert day on Tuesday because of that snow. Could be issuing that soon on Friday as well. It's a little too far out for that, but notice that high on Friday and even Saturday in the 30s and 20s for our highs, and then single digits. My goodness, it is going to be cold for sure.
Hopefully this is just the worst of it.
Let's
hope.
It only gets better from here.
All right, thanks, Chloe. Well, coming up in sports, we break down the final results of the Kaminsky Classic tournament in Joplin. Plus, Missouri Southern men's and women's basketball travels to Pitt State for a rivalry game. Brock Baldridge has the highlights and more next.
Well, one of the most anticipated MIAA women's basketball matchups of the season takes place this weekend between both of our local schools, and both teams are on a 5-game winning streak, so whichever team wins, well, that streak will end. Missouri Southern is on the road for their 4th straight game. The Lions looking to pull off the upset against the rival Pitt State. So in the first quarter, Reese Webb misses a 3-point shot here, but picks up her own rebound to score the layup. Lions lead by 3 points early on. Later in the first half, Pitt State gets the ball to their playmaker Grace Pyle, and she hits the mid-range jumper here. Pitt State went into halftime trailing by 5 points. We head to the second half. Gorillas draw up a play to Pyle again, and she splashes a 3-pointer. She led Pitt State with 18 points today. But Missouri Southern had other answers. In the third quarter, Reese Webb open at the top of the key, and she knocks it down. A few possessions later, it's Reese Webb who's open again in the corner, and she stays hot. 15 points this afternoon for the Murray State transfer, Reese Webb. Then in the final seconds of the third quarter, Chrislyn Jones has to put it up, and she beats the buzzer in desperation at the end of the quarter. Missouri Southern wins their 6th straight game. 3rd road win against a top 20 team this season. Lions upset the Gorillas 71-65.
It took us a little bit to kind of mesh a little bit because we had so many new kids, but they're starting to mesh and doing a great job of playing with each other and for each other. So that's the exciting thing about this team.
I feel as though we started off not together as a team, but, we got in, we locked in, and now we're knocking them off one by one.
Just after the women's game, the Pitt State men host their rivals Missouri Southern on their home floor. In the opening minutes of the game, Avery Taggart, who gets the steal here, tosses it over to Parker Long. He goes the other way, coast to coast, to get the bucket in transition. Lions lead by 4 early on. But Pitt State, well, they have an answer, and that's Max Alexander, who gets the bucket on the mid-range jumper. He finished with 17 points. Later in the first half, Alexander finds Tanner Mans. It's a big 3-point shot there in the corner. Gorillas looking to get back in the game. They trail by 7. Closing minutes of the first half, Darius Dawson, how about him today? It's open for the 3 here. He is money. Then Dawson drives to the rim, gets fouled. He had 21 points in the first half for the Lions. Southern leads by 1 going into halftime. Then Marquis English gets the bucket for Pitt State to open up the second half, but Southern, well, they just kept that momentum rolling in this game. Sam Thompson answers with a 2-hand slam off the pick and roll. Missouri Southern goes on the road to beat Pitt State 81-74. The Lions have now won 3 of their last 4 games. Well, today is the 3rd and final day of the Kaminsky Classic at Joplin High School. All 4 of our local teams are in the consolation bracket, looking to bring home a win before the conference season begins. In the 5th place game this afternoon, it's a rivalry game between Webb City and Joplin. The Eagles keep this one close, but it's Webb City who comes away with the victory. Cardinals win it 58-50. Both teams are scheduled to meet again on February the 13th. Earlier this morning is the 7th place game between Neosho and Carl Junction. CJ bounces back after their loss to Webb City yesterday to win this game over Neosho 58-37. Over to Division I men's college basketball. Kansas opens up Big 12 play at home versus TCU. In the second half, Hunter Dickinson gets the dunk here. Jayhawks lead by 1. Under 5 minutes to go, the Horned Frogs are sticking around this game. Travion Tennyson knocks down a huge 3 to give TCU the lead by 2. Under a minute left, Jayhawks lead by 2. Michael Peavy gets the putback off the miss, and we are tied up 77 apiece. Bill Self can't believe it. We're not supposed to be tied at Allen Fieldhouse this late in the game. 10 seconds left in the game. Biggest play here. Just give the ball to your biggest player. Hunter Dickinson gets the clutch basket. Jayhawks lead by 2. Final possession of the game. TCU gives themselves a chance here. Desperation for TCU is no good. Jayhawks survive. They win this one 83-81. Over to the SEC, the Arkansas Razorbacks open up SEC play at home against the 25th ranked Auburn Tigers. The Hogs really need to pick up some wins to boost their resume for the NCAA tournament. It was a rough run today in Fayetteville. Tigers beat the Razorbacks 83-51. Let's look for sports. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Well, it's a new year and many people are reflecting and making resolutions. Leah Bowling spoke with a few life experts to learn a few tips.
What's your New Year's resolution this year?
Live till next year.
To do whatever I'm doing to do it better.
I'm a little flexible on that. I mean, if I don't quite live up to expectations, well, I'll find another one.
I say all I want to do is improve in the new year.
To stick to a resolution, it's all about keeping goals attainable.
Keep them reachable, and don't be disturbed if you go off goal, because there are always other things you can improve in.
If you know you got to do something, you just need to do it. Don't diddle-daddle.
Donna Stetler says to embrace life's experiences as they come.
When you're older, as we all are, we've seen and heard and been through a lot. I guess my main thing is to be open to those experiences. You learn from every one of them.
Well, that's certainly some great advice. Did you have a New Year's resolution this year?
You know, I really don't, because usually I get into the New Year's resolutions and they fade off after the first month. So
Exactly.
take it one day at a
Exactly.
time, for sure.
Perfect way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a quick recap for your weather. Heading into Monday and Tuesday, be on the lookout for some snowfall and have that planned just in case. And then heading into Friday and Saturday, we'll see that round 2 come into play.
Hopefully we get some snow. Like I've been saying, just a little dusting, just something, maybe a snow day for the kiddos.
It would be so nice.
All right, well, that's our time for now. Thanks for making us part of your night.